Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith. My parents taught me at a very young age that if you start something, you finish it. You don't start it and stop it. And with that in mind, I am still here talking about this season of The Bachelorette. Now, it isn't really that the season is boring. I mean, it could have a little more excitement, but it's really that it's so predictable. Here we are. We haven't even gone to hometown dates yet, and I am 1000%, okay, not a real number, 100% convinced that she is going to pick Bryan. I will be shocked if she doesn't. There is a better chance of Jessica Chastain showing up at my front door and saying, "Hey Keith, I love your blogs. I'd love to give you a one-on-one interview, and then when we're done, we'll play FIFA." There is a better chance of that happening than of Rachel picking somebody other than Bryan. It's just not going to happen. Look at how they engage. So in yesterday's episode, she comes over to the apartment, and she's like, "Hey Bryan, let's go on our one-on-one date." I can't really remember what they did. I just remember them making out a lot, and I remember them going to this kind of like empty banquet hall, and they had people playing violins and like this little mini orchestra. Yeah, because that's what happens on a date. Anyways, she is completely smitten with this guy. And again, I don't necessarily know how much time they're spending really getting to know each other, but it's interesting because when she sees him, it's like doves start flying and, all of this wonderful song starts going off in her mind. But then you look at her relationship with the other guys. So Dean, who I realized this weekend has the power to make one of my female friends swoon, is a nice guy. I mean, he told this touching story about losing his mother a few weeks ago. And then they go out on this date. And it's funny because Rachel's saying, "Oh, I really have fun with him, but I'm not really getting to know him." Well, you guys, one minute you guys are going to church, which is cool, and then you're dancing like crazy people in the middle of a courtyard or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I expect him to be serious." Let me explain what's happening here. She's already setting up and laying the groundwork for why she's going to let Dean go. Now, once again, Dean had to open up and explain, "Hey, this is how my family is, and my family isn't the typical family," and all of this stuff. Cool. But the thing is that the flip side of the coin is that you're bringing this woman that you barely know home. I can't speak for other people, but that wouldn't fly with me. "Hey Dad, this is Rachel. I want to marry her." "Oh, what do you know about her?" "Nothing." "You have a prenup?" It's not going to be a good thing. So I like Dean. I think he's a nice guy, but I don't think Dean has much of a chance. The other one-on-one date was Peter. And Peter said, "Well, when we get to the end of this, I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I will propose." Of course, Rachel's like, "Oh, that's not what I want to hear," but he still ended up getting a rose nonetheless. Then she went on a 3-on-1 date, and he had to feel bad for Adam because throughout the whole episode, Adam just wanted a rose. He just wanted a rose. He wanted a one-on-one date, and then in the end, of course, she didn't get it. What made it somewhat entertaining, and I don't mean this from a cynical point of view, but then he's giving her advice as he's being walked out. It's like, "Adam, just go. She doesn't want your advice. Just go. It's done." And Adam, nothing against you. I'm sure you're a super awesome guy, but she wants Bryan. Now, probably the most entertaining point of the episode for me last night was when she was on her one-on-one date with Peter, and she said to Peter, "Well, have you ever it was either have you ever dated a black girl or have you ever brought a black girl home?" Which I thought was funny because I would have given anything to have heard Peter turn around and say, "Well, given all of the black guys you sent home, have you ever dated a black guy?" And I would have been on the floor. It would have been hilarious. Anyways, so yeah, I expected there to be a little more diversity towards the end, and it is what it is. Eric, your time is up. I mean, she selected these one-on-one dates for a reason, and I think Eric kind of got like a token rose. I don't necessarily think, regardless of Eric or any of the other guys that are remaining, it's it doesn't matter. It's going to be Bryan. I'm not a genius when it comes to these things, but the way that she looks at Bryan, the way she interacts with Bryan can do no wrong. So she could be on a date with somebody else who's giving her the same fluffy answers that Bryan gives her, and she would challenge them on it. He can say anything and do anything, and it's okay. So, again, I'm not expecting a long-lasting relationship because at some point they're going to realize, "Hey, I don't really know anything about you, and the cameras are gone, and you're not taking me to some like big swanky, picturesque date. No, you're just asking me if I want to supersize at McDonald's like a normal person." So we'll see. Anyways, what did you guys think of this episode and this season overall? It's very lackluster. Some people I saw on Twitter think it's the best season ever. Really? I don't know what you're seeing, but it's definitely not the best season ever. I don't know if it's the worst. I haven't seen them all, but it's one of those things where I feel like I have this obligation to this audience to come out and talk about The Bachelor, Bachelorette. I wish the season was more exciting, but it's really not. She's gonna pick Bryan. Since I have your attention, I also want you to know that I do movie reviews, so you can check that out on my website as well. At the end of the day, I remain Keith, CFL_fan on Twitter, Facebook.com/Woody Whittier, and WoodyWhittier.com. Thank you so much for checking this out. And believe it or not, I'll be here next week. Take care. Bye.